This is our second show, which is the more serious topical one. And today we are going to talk about depression because it seems like nowadays everybody has it. Matter of fact, according to well, take two, the World Health Organization, or WHO, say about 280 million people worldwide suffer from this. Um, it's estimated that 21 million adults had at least one major depressive episode. So, cutting right to the chase, how's everybody feeling?
I take pills.
Mm,
I take
yeah,
pills to keep me level because honestly, my moods and my depression, dealing with everything that I have to deal with as far as just my physical self, it's hard.
yeah,
And so, yeah, I take pills to get through, um, to remind me, that I can't just be a complete bitch to everybody because I feel bad.
right.
Right.
Hmm.
But sometimes you have to come down off of them because sometimes you can get to a point where you don't feel anything. And I don't like
Right.
I don't like that. So I was like, we're gonna have to back down off of some of this stuff. But
Yeah, it's never good to feel numb.
yeah,
And
you don't want
unfortunately, sometimes when you're depressed, that's the feeling that you're chasing. Like when you smoke or you drink or whatever, you're trying to feel anything that isn't this. And
yes.
nothing is better than this shit I'm feeling right now.
Until you do it for a couple days in a row, then you're like,
Right.
I didn't even hug my baby today.
Yeah, you start
I
feeling
didn't-
worthless. It's a
yeah,
vicious cycle,
it's
you know.
horrible,
When you
but it's
start feeling
very
depressed
real.
because you were depressed, and
And that negative talk, self-talk,
oh
is
yeah,
that that's just like a spiral. You know, you negative self-talk makes it worse, and then you start realizing, okay, I'm in this vicious cycle, and then let one thing set it off again, and it's easy to get back in that hole.
Yep.
now when you find yourself depressed, is it usually because of something that just happened, or is it because of something that kind of started occupying your mind from the past?
Me personally, it's usually something that started occupying my mind from the past.
That's how I am too. Especially if I haven't taken like my meds regularly. I can always tell when I missed it because about
Mhm.
halfway through the day, I'm like, some just don't feel right. And I'm like, oh, forgot to take my meds, and then
Yeah.
about an hour later I start feeling better. Um,
And it's funny because they're not supposed to work that quickly.
right. Well,
They're
some
supposed to
are.
be
Some
in
are.
your, well,
It
yes,
just kind of depends. Like for instance, like Clonopin. If you're having a panic attack, Clonopin will take that shit away from you right now. Like as soon as you swallow it, it
Xanax
pretty much
too.
gets in your system. But yeah, regular stuff like what Paxil and all the other 85 million different antidepressants they have out there, where they say it generally
Bupropion.
takes like 30 days. What'd you say?
I said bupropion. That's
I'm on that
the
too.
other name
Hmm.
for Wellbutrin, right?
Yep.
Yep, yep.
I'm actually on that too. I have a whole cocktail. Like to keep me as a regular person, I think I take like 7 different meds.
But
And
are they all? They're not all antidepressants, though.
no,
Okay.
one is actually they found out I'm ADHD. Whereas
Well,
for years they were just saying I was like anxiety prone and you get depression and stuff like that. But when they did the test, it's let me grab a piece of paper here. I want to show you what it's supposed to look like and what mine did look like. Okay, so it's pretty much like a y-axis. And okay, you see that? There's the y-axis and there's just like that scribbling in the middle.
yep.
Okay, so a normal brain is supposed to be pretty well in the middle there. My shit was like that. So essentially, I am in the 95th to 99th percentile of ADHD. That means only 5 to 1% of people on this planet are worse than I am.
You don't seem that bad.
Exactly. I've hidden it well, because when we were young, we didn't know what the hell that was.
Right.
We just knew that like you couldn't pay attention or you just weren't trying. That's what I was always told.
He's bad. He
Yeah.
don't listen in
Well,
school.
and remember the report cards, visits too often. Maybe you talk too damn much.
Every
I
single
was
one
always
of
getting that.
Tyra's, every single one of Tyra's report cards said that she's a joy to have in class, but no matter where we sit her, she's always very social.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've had to be moved several
I talk
times.
a lot. Yeah, she had to be too. And
Mhm. Well, and the thing about our generation as opposed to the new generations now is we were really kind of fucked over because before us, generation after generation after generation after generation, the father, what he said went. And you could yell at your kid, you could, and it was just easy to just yell at them, whoop them, and that was it. And that's all we were taught. And all of a sudden, here comes this generation where it's just like, you can't hit them. You can't just yell at them. They're asking questions.
You can't just tell them no.
Right.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No.
But you have to worry about what you're going to produce because of what you turned out as, because of the abuse that and at the time it wasn't seen as abuse, but when you look back on it, it was fucking abuse.
Oh hell yeah.
I mean, it was child abuse, the shit we went through. And not only physically but psychologically. If you couldn't get something right or you make a mistake, I mean, you got talked to like a dog.
If your parents talk to you. My mom worked like 3 jobs, so she was hardly ever home. So it fell on me. But when she did come home, if shit wasn't right, she was waking everybody up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Get up and get this house clean. And
everybody had to suffer.
That was abuse. That you wash the dishes by hand, and if you got one dish, didn't get it right, all the dishes, even the dishes in the cabinet, came down and you had to rewash everything.
Oh yeah, see, that's psychological torture.
It's like, come on.
Well, even like when I was growing up, even eating, like you had to eat everything on your plate or else you got in trouble. And I was a really thin kid in 2nd grade. And I remember that 3rd grade year, I spent the summer with my grandpa. I got fat. And I mean, like, I was a little roly-poly motherfucker. Like, every time you see a black movie where somebody's in prison, they always got that same big bloated dude up in it that ain't got no neck. That's what I was looking like for the longest time. But, and it would start off friendly enough, like, hey, are you hungry? No. You better get down here and eat this food that I'm. It's like,
I've been cooking all day. You got to eat this. It's like,
yeah, and I didn't ask you.
Your grandparents in the South?
Oh yeah, they were from Texas.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, they lived in Omaha for 70 years or whatever, but yeah, they were from Texas, the sticks.
See?
So where Austin is, you go 45 miles east, and there's an actual town called Giddings. But in and around that town, there's some shit that probably ain't even called what they call it. It's like Lincoln County number 5935. They called the town Doak Springs. I have never seen it in print in a book. They might be saying the Oak for all I know. But Doak Springs is what the place is called.
They could, because I can't remember right now. I can't remember how my dad said it, but he was talking about taking my grandmother to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, because he lives in they lived in Belle Rose, and he was talking about taking her to Baton Rouge, and he said Baton Rouge or something like that, and I was like, what? Yeah. I said, what did you say? And he said it again, and I was like, what's that? And he was like, you ain't never heard of, and then he said it again, and I was like, oh, we call it Baton Rouge. He was like, that's wrong.
But you know what? He's right. The way he said it is the correct way. It's Baton Rouge.
Yep.
Baton Rouge. We just Americanized so much shit. Like there's a town just north of us. Matter of fact, I just found out Rico moved there, but it's called Prescott. It's spelled Prescott because that's what it was called for years and years and years before these white people came and fucked it up. Like how wash your hands and shit like that.
Mhm.
Prescott just started coming out Prescott, and then it just got accepted. Like now it's called Prescott, even though it's spelled Prescott. And I even talked to people who have lived here like their whole lives. They're like, no, it was Prescott up until like all these like retirees moved here and couldn't fucking pronounce the damn shit. We got a town called Casa Grande.
It's not
Let this sink in.
Casa Grande.
That's how it's supposed to be pronounced. But they call it Casa Grande.
Okay.
And have to whiten it up.
Mhm.
I was going to say that's the Tex-Mex thing going on.
Yeah, that's tacos. Delicious hard shell tacos with a flour tortilla. Yeah, things always got to be whitened up to be palatable, but
Right.
Prescott, like, come on. There's another word that used to drive me crazy that people would say, like program. Like when my program.
Oh, gotcha.
That's PROGRM. Program.
My thing when we were younger and Pops used to say instead of hey,
I
no,
thought you did that. Pops you say
instead of saying knock it off, stop it, put it down, he said turn it loose. And as he was hitting you with this hat, he turn it loose.
Mm-hmm. Or if you were holding somebody, you turn them loose.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We say that now in my family all the time. Turn it loose.
How do they say turn the lights on? My grandparents cut the lights on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it was like all one word, cut the lights on.
Yep. Roll up in the car, roll up the glass.
Oh, see, I never heard that, but crack the window was always a thing.
Yeah, that's
crack
true.
the window. Go to the northeast bedroom and crack the window down by the Davenport.
Like, which one is the northeast?
I tell my grandma that all the time because you go up the stairs, there's a room here, there's a room right in the middle, and there's a room way off to the end of the hall. Tell me right, middle, left. Don't tell me the east bed.
I don't know what you mean.
East is.
Blue bedspread or not?
And that's just that country shit. Just, they want to tell you where everything is by like as the crow flies.
Yes.
But one thing about Nebraska though that's kind of different from everybody else is everybody else will tell you how many miles something is away. Nebraska will tell you how many minutes it is.
Yes. Oh, it's about 45 minutes that way.
Yeah.
I live an hour and a half from Lincoln.
Yep. And I completely know where that is. But like people out here are like, oh yeah, it's about 20 miles. So you gotta look it up. It's like, okay, so 15 minutes. Like
I know it's different for people that live in bigger cities because my brother, when we went to go visit him in LA, I said I wanted to go see the great big trees.
the sequoia.
Yes. Said I wanted to go there. And he said, what? That's like a 5-hour drive from here. And I was like, so? I mean, here in Nebraska, a 5-hour drive really ain't shit,
I'll take the opposite approach because to me, Lincoln and Omaha are the two biggest cities that are close to each other.
Yes.
That 50-minute travel, you're seeing cows and pastures, an occasional little town, more pasture, more fields. So you got too much time to think. Here, Glendale and Chandler are about the same distance, like 52 miles. It doesn't feel long at all because you're seeing all city and mountains and you're going through a bunch of cities and shit,
and it never stops. Like it
exactly.
Like, I remember when you guys were taking me back and forth to the airport, I'm thinking, now we're in a different city? How?
Yeah, we crossed like 3 cities getting there.
Blank spots.
Yep. It's a lot like Kansas City. Like you don't know if you're actually in Kansas City or not because as you go from neighborhood to neighborhood, it's like real loopy. So it's like there's like Kansas City and then Olathe or something like that. And
Mhm.
I can't remember the other little cities around there, but it's like every 5 blocks you see you are now entering such and such,
Yep.
Yeah.
even though you're technically in the Kansas City area,
Still
or
in the Kansas City
area.
area, but
Mhm.
you know,
That's why everybody in this area, whether you're from Mesa, Gilbert, Tempe, or we all say Phoenix because it's just easier. Because people are like, well, where is that? And compare it to Phoenix. Well, it's a suburb. Well, why don't you just say
because that's not what it's called.
exactly? Like, that's a whole different community.
Now, see how we got off the subject of what we're supposed
Yeah,
to
and see, I was just about to say that how
Sorry,
sometimes
guys.
when you just get to talking and when you hang out with friends and shit like that and just start spilling,
Yeah,
that can
I've
raise
missed you
your
guys.
endorphins big time.
Yeah.
I've missed you guys.
Yeah, it's been too long.
It's been
And
too
then every
long.
time we want to get started again, something happened to one of us.
I
You know,
feel
it's
like
just
it was always me.
not
I'm-
always.
I'm not kidding you. I
A lot of
feel like
times, but not always.
Yeah.
but I
Um,
should be fixed now. I should be okay.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I
But
mean,
fixed or
you've
not,
gone through hell and back.
fixed or not, we're doing this show every week.
Yeah,
And
it's
this
our
is
legacy.
kind of it's a release for me of
Yeah.
sorts.
Yeah, me too. And matter of fact, it is for a lot of other people too, because I had no idea how much of a difference we were making until I started realizing people were going to get tests and shit like that and
Yep.
telling us about it, and they would have
And
never
even
did
if
it
they
had it not
didn't-
been for us.
Yep. And even if they
So-
didn't tell us about it, we still,
Mhm.
we help people. We do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we at least make an impact. I'll say that for sure.
Yes. Absolutely.
So let's see. By age, it says generally depression its onset is generally about 32 and a half. I don't know if I really agree with that though, because it seems like everybody that I've talked to personally, they remember back like to where they were teens when this shit
Yeah.
started
Yeah,
happening.
right.
I think it's a teen thing. I mean, how could it not be
Right.
if you're not included or you're different somehow or
Mhm.
you want to be different somehow and the rest of the school or everybody there just kind of shuts you out. It just seems like like me, I was fat in high school.
Really?
And yeah,
Hmm.
I was fat in high school. But I still had a lot of girlfriends. I didn't have a lot of guy friends. I had a lot of guy friends that wanted to talk to me in order to get to my girlfriends, but not
Mhm. Yeah.
But I was a bookworm, so I didn't really care too much. I didn't want to be invited to the parties. I would rather stay home and read a book. And I have one child that is like that, and the other one would like to be at any party that she could be at until she had kids. Now she's got to stay home. And, a husband. So she got to stay home. But I can't hear you. Your sound just went out. What'd you say?
Yeah, for some reason
There you
every
go.
time I jiggle this just the slightest bit, that wire comes out, then I have to unmute it from this damn thing. So I had to put duct tape on that motherfucker or something. For me in high school, I wasn't really a nerd or cool. Like I was like I got along with everybody. Like the athletes, I got along with them. I got along with the nerds. I got along. We had an area where now it's politically incorrect, but it was called the MR area because it was for the mentally retarded people.
Mhm.
And that's what it was called. Because and that's the diagnosis, y'all. Mental retardation is what it's
It
called.
really
So
is.
if you don't like the word, shut the fuck up.
It's a
But,
horrible word, though. I don't like it, and mostly because I have a nephew who's now 24, almost 25, and I hate for anybody to call him that because even
when
though
they say
it is
retard,
a
that bothers me.
Yeah.
even though it is a diagnosis, he's smarter than probably 95% of the people that I know
Mhm.
because
Oh, yeah.
he can pick shit up. That kid was reading an analog clock when he was 3 years old because he needed to know what time he was going where and what he was doing. And so he could read an analog clock. And I was like, did you just look at that clock and find and
Mhm.
yes, he did.
Yep. But at Lincoln High, though, there was an actual specialized area for
Mhm.
the special kids, and during the passing of classes, we would intermingle and cross, with them. And
Yes.
their area was they probably had 10 classrooms in like one little section. So, they had the experience of high school, but they were literally going like next door or like, maybe crisscrossing. And so it used to drive me fucking crazy. Like it used to piss me off because there was always some assholes that would have to say something because they knew that the kids didn't get what they were saying.
Yeah.
So they would just be shitty or whatever. And I know both me and Scott were very protective. We just did not let that shit slide. And we point the motherfuckers out too, because to this day, I don't know what it is, but with me, old ass white ladies and people who are special needs mentally are just drawn to me. Like it's like something they just trust. It's like there's some light. And I think I look unapproachable because I try to look unapproachable sometimes. But I'm telling you what, the special
It's not
minded or whatever, they just see right through that shit.
I was gonna say it's not something they see in you, it's something they feel in you.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to put
Something
it.
they feel
Because
in
I'm that same way with people. Like I'll get a vibe right away.
you right
And if
away.
I'm not feeling you, I'm a little standoffish.
Yeah.
Like what's
And
wrong with
because I
you?
can't hide it.
Or the whole you be thinking, you're not saying anything, so you're good, but the whole time
Oh,
your
but my
face
face is
like,
saying every damn thing.
your face
So
is like,
I've learned to have that stone face that doesn't have any emotion sometimes, because there's sometimes I'm wanting to kill you, but I'm trying to smile through because these other people like you, but they just ain't seen it yet.
mhm.
And that's when you're an empath, boy, that's some frustrating shit. And
It
that's something
really
else that can cause depression, is when you can see something in this one person that everybody fucking loves because they've got everybody snowed, but you can see it and everybody's saying that you're a hater,
mhm.
and that shit is, but it always comes to a head, whether it's a few days or a few years. There are certain people, I'll say satelliting my family, that from the get-go, I was like, this motherfucker's too familiar, too fast. There's just something I don't like. You always saying that about somebody. And then 3-4 years later, everybody's saying the same shit I was saying in the beginning.
Mhm.
And
It's
that
like,
shit
I
can be
told y'all that.
frustrating.
I
When the
told
thing
y'all
is,
that.
like, it's like every single time, it's like, okay, 5 times in a row, I've got this shit right. When you gonna believe me?
Exactly.
When are you
Exactly.
gonna
I
quit
told
saying that
you
I'm just
guys
a hater?
that I can kind of read people. So,
Big time.
when you bring the new girlfriend or, the new boyfriend over and I'm like, that's not really the girl for you.
Mhm.
Or, and of course your kids don't want to hear that because they're
Right.
in love, and it's like, no,
But
that's
they
not.
be right every time.
And yeah. And they come
Mhm.
back to you. He was an asshole. He was blah, 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 blah. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, let me
He's
ask
all the
you,
shit you said he was.
and I'm like, let me ask you this. Was he secretly gay?
Mhm.
Yes. Knew it. Knew it. Called it.
What? Okay, we're gonna have to sidetrack a little bit because that's something I've been wondering big time. Especially our people, like we're some of the most I'm not, but homophobic beings on the planet. But there's a lot of DL shit going on that I did not know about.
Hey, what's killing me is the not DL and the amount of them. I don't think I've ever seen this many openly gay Black men in my
Mhm.
life. But if you go
Yep.
on to TikTok or Instagram, you see them there.
They're
And
there.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything
Right.
wrong with that. I'm just
Right.
saying it's more widespread now than it ever has been. And I can understand what you're saying about
Yeah.
being on the down low because people don't want everybody to know, but then, somebody will slip up and say something. You're like, hey,
Well,
what?
especially like in Hollywood, you're hearing about all these brothers that's like fucking each other and
Yeah,
yelling
like
at people and
like
stuff.
Big
And
Diddy. Like
yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
he's not being punished for just women and just minors. He's being punished for men as
I
well.
just read an article yesterday about a some dude in a shoe store that he almost raped because him and his goons like cornered him in the stock room, and he was trying to make him get on his knees. And there's been several stories about that with him specifically.
That's terrible.
And then you start hearing about all the artists that he supposedly has been with. It's just
And it's
like,
like, okay, did you force them or
right. Or was it a
did you
quid
do
pro
it for
quo?
clout? I mean, like what's going on there?
Mhm.
And why were you such a shitty person? Just because
Right.
you had that much money did not mean that you had to be a shitty person. And now you made that much money, and now what's it doing for you?
Right.
Not a
And it's not
damn
even the
thing.
money, it's the power.
And
That's where
everybody's
people get real fucked up is with power. Because he could have anything he wanted. He was essentially a gang leader, like
yeah.
the mafia. He could order hits if he wanted to. I mean, it's kind of weird how his wife or his ex died. It's just there's a lot of it's just like Trump's ex-wife. How she just fall down the stairs and then you bury her in a golf course. It's just, and how are your kids cool with that?
Money will make
Exactly.
pay people enough money, and they will shut up and not say a
Mhm.
word if you've
Exactly.
got enough money. I mean, come on, let's be real. How else do you think Trump became president? Not once, but twice. Not
Exactly.
because of his smarts, it's because of the money that he had.
Well, hell,
And
Elon Musk was even
paid
paying
people.
people for their votes,
Yeah,
which
paid
I didn't
people
think
for
was legal in any way, shape, or
I didn't
form.
think so.
it's not, but
But
come
apparently
on,
they let it
it's
go.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. And that motherfucker has as much money as he has to be putting hair plugs and trying to enlarge his dick and all that kind of stuff. He still looks like a melted candle. Like just like it's just sliding off his face, and he's got dime eyes. I mean, he's unpleasant to look at.
He is. And
Very unpleasant to look at.
The funny thing is, all of the kids that he has were all through in vitro, and he actually paid for them to determine the sex of the children. And the funniest part is that all of them but one is a male. Actually, all of them were male, but the one is now a transgender. And that's the thing that I think is so funny is he insisted on having all of his kids being male, and one of them is like, fuck that.
Although he insists that one that's trans is dead to him. He lost his son or whatever. I can't remember. Is it a daughter to son or son to daughter?
Son to daughter.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, he was saying that he was tricked into allowing her to.
wow.
So that tells me you're not that smart.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I knew, but I kind of questioned this too. It says depression is more prevalent among females than males, approximately 8.7% of women and approximately 5.3% of men. I think it's because of misreporting, because there's a lot of dudes that ain't going to admit that they're depressed.
That's correct.
And again, our culture, like black men cannot admit that they're depressed, especially to another black man.
They won't.
Like, what kind of white shit is that? Or, what? You a man.
If they won't go to the doctor for like cutting off the tip of their finger, they just, duct tape it, it'll be fine.
Right.
Or that's how my dad was. There's no way they're going to tell somebody, well, I don't feel quite right inside.
Right.
Just get up, go to work, and do what you got to do. That's how they are.
And to me, that's one of the biggest reasons for depression is the people that are supposed to keep you safe, make you feel like you're something. When they've let you down, man, that is just the biggest psychological trigger there can be.
Yeah.
Especially, the person that's supposed to love you more than anything for any reason. My daughters could commit first-degree murder, and I would be disappointed as fuck. I would be sad. I would be disappointed. I would not stop loving those kids.
Well, I've always told my kids the only thing that you could do that would ever separate me from you is kill my other child.
Yeah. Doing something to the other one would
anything short of that, I got your back. Anything, I'm your mom. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I always will be. And we know, my daughter, my oldest one, is in prison. I mean, and so she's made some mistakes.
And
but
not for lack of love. I was
true.
there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's made some mistakes in her grown-up life, and now she's paying for those mistakes. But that does not stop me from loving her.
Right.
That does not stop me from telling her that I love her. She gets mad and says some nasty things to me sometimes. And I'll not talk to her for a while, but doesn't mean I don't love her.
Right.
I don't particularly like her most of the time, but I love her all the time.
And, and that's okay to not like someone you're related to. Yeah. Because that's one of those things like, oh, you gotta love your family. And you gotta. No, you don't gotta. Because there's family members that can really mess you up.
Yeah.
You don't gotta love that molesty uncle.
Right.
You don't gotta love the cousin that, messed you up, Yeah. You don't have to love these people. What was that? What's that play? It's a black play, and James Earl Jones was the lead character, and I think Denzel took it over. I think it's called Fences. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
I always remember that one scene where he's like, "Daddy, why you don't like me?" Like, who said I got to like you? He's like, I put clothes on your back. I did this and this and this.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, nobody said I got to like you.
Did you ever hear that speech when you were little? Because I did.
I never heard that.
Like, I don't have to. I got to love you. I don't have to like you. I put food on the table. That's love. You get to live in this house. That's love. And I'm like, damn.
No, I never heard that.
It. That's all I get.
No, because my mom was always very encouraging, because it was just me and her up until 7, and then my dad came along, and he didn't do a lot of shit right, but at the same time, he never did that. I mean, he never made it feel like it was conditional. I will say that there was never like you need to be this way to get the kind of respect that as a parent you should get.
Yes,
that made any sense.
I did not get that until I was about 13 years old when my pops came into my life. And then I understood what unconditional love was, because I did everything to, you are not my dad, you are not, that kind of thing. And he still did everything that a dad would do. He was there for every milestone, gave me cards for every birthday. You know what I mean? When my children were born, there was no denying that he was their grandfather. Right. It was.
And that's how my kids are too. Like, they don't know nothing but him as grandpa. Yep. And from the day they popped out, he's just every little whim, whatever they need, whatever they want. Like, he's poured all the love into him, and you can't be mad at that.
Nope, you sure can't.
And I used to get upset because they just give him every fucking thing, like money and all that kind of stuff. And then after a while, I started thinking my grandma did that to me too.
Yes.
It was like, because I was the baby's baby. So I always got special shit and extra money. Let them old people spend the money they want to spend it,
Right. Now, see,
they've earned it. They've retired and shit. And, so let them spend the money they want to spend it.
My grams was crazy about me. I was with my grams probably 80% of the time when I was
Me too.
All of my childhood memories involve my grams. And, picking in the garden and, sleeping on the screened-in porch with my other cousins.
Mud porch.
Yes.
Yeah. My grandma had that too.
Really?
On those rainy days when you sit out there and watch the cars go by and you hear that.
The only thing it locked with was that little thing that you put in the hole.
Yep.
Yeah.
That little hook and eye hole.
7 or 8 of us out there sleeping on the porch. Anybody could have came up. But I mean, it was a different world back then. People didn't do that. It was.
I got to talking to. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was done. I
was gonna say, I started talking to my youngest daughter on the way to school, and she'd been having some emotional problems and stuff. Just the kids nowadays, the shit they go through. And do you watch The Connors?
I do. I haven't watched this season yet. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until the very end and watch all of them up until the last episode. I'm kind of mad it's only 6 episodes though. Like, I want a whole season.
Right?
But God, where was I going with that when I took that sidetrack? Oh yeah, because when that time when Louise was talking to Harris about how she couldn't imagine going through their lives right now with all these active shooter drills, and it's like this generation just feels fucked. And I was talking to Adriana, I was like, you know what? I never even stopped to think about the fact that when I was a kid, we had tornado and fire drills, and that was like once every couple of months. We never had an active shooter drill. We never thought about somebody just randomly coming in and popping us. We knew there was gun violence outside of the school. We knew which neighborhoods to, keep our asses out of at dark.
Yeah.
But, other than the fire drills and the tornado drills, we didn't have any. The thing we were scared of the most was the bullies.
Right.
And they didn't even have
bullies
weapons.
didn't come and carry guns. I
Right.
mean,
Right. You were just scared of that embarrassing ass whooping.
Right.
But
They're calling you something that stick with people.
yeah, the shit we had to deal with that, depressed us. But actually I can't even think about I was never depressed as a little kid because all we did was have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you just go out and you find the big pile of bikes. That's where everybody is.
Where everybody was.
And you play too hard, you get thirsty, you drink out the hose.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was thinking about no copper and
Copper and iron and all the minerals that are in the water.
A lot of people live to be a long old age.
My
That's
dad
like today.
103 eating expired food. We were just talking about that the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh yeah, the date says blah blah blah, but don't pay any attention to that. What? Yeah. Like you can't. No.
Just the psychosomatic of it would make me sick.
That my milk goes bad, we're pouring it out. If y'all haven't drank that milk, by the time the date says it went bad, because I'm not going to drink it.
Yeah, we got till that day.
Anyway, but
I might even throw it out like the day before because it starts smelling a little funny around the rim.
Yes, it's like if it like flakes off when you open it, and it's like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, the little skins, little flakes.
But the things that kids have to worry about, like Aria brought home actual cards, drill cards that she's, that we're supposed to work on at home so that she can remember what she's supposed to do if there were an active shooter or if there was somebody doing something else. Like there's 2 or 3 different scenarios. The active shooter, like,
was there a bomb threat one?
A bomb, maybe a bomb threat, and then there's one on the bus, which she takes the bus. She takes the bus to school, and it's like 6 blocks. I mean,
like if somebody gets on the bus and starts acting a fool or something like that.
Yeah. They teach them how to, unload off the bus in the back and all this stuff. And I'm like, I think we did that once.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And they told us, if you hear tornado sirens go off, because they go off in Lincoln every Wednesday at 10:15. You hear
they still do that?
Yes, they do. You hear that, and what are you supposed to do? Everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Here in this small town, it took me a while to realize that they test them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Oh, that's too much.
Yeah, it is too much. But I think they test for different things because they all sound different. And I'm like, what? Yeah, there's a fire call, and then there's a help call, and then there's one that's for you can't burn anything because it's too windy outside.
Oh yeah, the what do they call it? Red flag warning.
Yes. So and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like when I moved here, I was like, is there a tornado? That's a tornado drill. And then it was like, wait, it only went 3 times. Why did it only go 3 times?
Yeah.
Come to find out there's a system in place there.
Just got to know what it is, though.
She's got to remember to stay silent, stay low to the ground, stay out of the window. If there's a window in the classrooms, which a lot of the classroom doors have been rebuilt and there's not windows in them. There's just little split. Yeah. And so you stay out of sight of that. And,
but in the feed, we always had that where it always just looked like a jail where it was that little pane of glass that you can kind of look through.
They're even smaller now.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're
Man.
about high enough, I would say, for an adult to see through them, but the kids
Mhm.
really can't. And so,
See,
you know,
yeah.
but they've got those. I think they're bulletproof because it's got, you know, some kind of
Oh
screen
yeah, yeah.
inside of it, and then the doors are real heavy, and the teacher
Mhm.
unlocks them in the morning with a magnet she puts up at the top. If
Oh
there's
yeah.
if there's some kind of a distress call, she puts the magnet on the door and the door is locked. Nobody can come in
Mhm.
it, nobody can go out of it. And
That's just crazy to me.
I know. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my gosh, what would you do?
Yeah.
I don't even know what the hell I do. I live like 6 blocks from her school. I'd be running my fat ass up there, like, where's my baby?
Mhm. Yeah. You know, my whole school career, we had one bomb threat in the 8th grade, and it wasn't even serious. I know who did it.
It was a
And
kid.
yeah, yeah. And
Was it Ferris Bueller?
it was. No, his I can see his face right now. And the funny thing is, he was always good to me. Like if somebody was fucking with me, he would always stand up for me. You know, so I do remember that. God, what was his name? I can see his face clear as day.
Did he
But
get caught? Did
oh
he?
yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah. Because you know, we were too stupid to know like your phone calls could be traced because there
oh
were no
yeah.
caller ID back in the
There's
day, you know.
that.
So I
Yeah.
think he called from matter of fact, it was Park Junior High, and he called from the phone in the park. Like that park that was around. Yeah. Yeah. So he got matter of fact, I saw later on he was in prison for a while because I saw his headshot or whatever.
Mhm.
And I can't remember what he was in for. It was something that wasn't like terrible, but like robbery
You're
or
like
some shit like that.
stupid. Like you knew better. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, he used to always like look out for me for whatever reason. Like if people would try to make fun of me or some shit, like he'd be like, "Well, fucking look at you." You know? Like, thanks, dude. Frank. His name was Frank. Um, I'll come up with that last name later. I'll have to look him up. But yeah,
now,
his name was
see,
Frank.
whenever you say Frank, I just see a hot dog. I don't know why.
Like WC Franks.
Yeah, yeah.
A Frankfurter.
Yep.
Frankfurter was just a nickel. But you know, but I also told Adriana, you know, when I was a kid, we did have worries, but they were stupid worries, and we didn't know they were stupid at the time. Like we were scared of the Russians because we didn't know they were incompetent. You know, so
Right.
you know, because the Cold War was going on when we were in elementary. We did watch the Challenger blow up right before our eyes.
Yes, we
Um,
did.
that was stressful.
That was
I
pretty
remember that day
traumatic.
like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I
Oh
do
yeah.
too. We were in school watching it, and
Yeah, they wheeled the TV in on the cart and shit like that. We
yeah,
was all on the floor watching and shit. And
and all
then
of a
like when you saw
sudden
that
it was like,
fireball, the teachers were just like they turned the TV off and then started wheeling it back out.
was
And
that real? You know, all the
yeah.
kids were talking about, was that real? Was that staged? What
Hmm.
was that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just remember we all were just kind of in shock. Like it was just such a surreal, like, what just happened?
And
You
you
know, because
just
we knew that
knew,
teacher was on there
Yeah.
and you
because it was a
knew
big deal.
everybody on there was
Mhm.
gone. I mean, like there
Yep.
was no way anybody could have survived that. Just
But
like
even like before it, that teacher being on there was like a huge deal.
yes,
And one thing that, oh man, this still freaks me out to this day. This one, they were asking like, it was basically like, what do you want to do when you grow up or something like that type of thing. And this girl says she wants to be the first teacher in space. And the teacher was like, well, we're already having a teacher go up in space. Never happened.
Mhm.
So it was just
I
like,
mean, she
ooh.
went up in space, but not.
She didn't leave the atmosphere.
No,
No, they didn't leave the earth. It
No.
because as soon as they went up, it exploded, and that fireball that you saw going off to the side was them. And they
Yeah.
were still alive. They were
Oh,
alive
geez.
until they hit the water. So yeah, they imagine the terror of that shit.
Mhm.
Or like Gus Grissom when he was an astronaut that was supposed to go to the moon, I believe, and he burned up on the launch pad. And,
Damn.
like the rocket caught on fire, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just sit there
Yeah.
and burn up.
I mean,
You know?
because as much fuel as they have to put in it, and it's got to be like
Mhm.
jet fuel, and I
Yeah,
understand
or
that's
rocket
really hard to
fuel.
put
So
out.
that's just combustible.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so I mean, we had the shit we were afraid of, and there was always a kidnapping here and there, that would keep you up at night.
But it was
Do
always
you
in
remember?
Atlanta or
Yeah.
in,
in
someplace
Mhm.
far away. It never happened by you.
No, what scared me in Nebraska when I was like 5. Do you remember Little Boy Blue?
Yes.
That scared the shit out of me because I was only 5. And then describing a kid as Little Boy Blue that you found in a ditch or
Yeah.
whatever, that
I
was
live about 7 miles from Chester,
really
where
because that's where they
they
found him, wasn't it?
Yep, Chester,
Yeah, 'cause
Nebraska,
it
and
was
he's
some
still buried there.
he
Even though
what?
he's still buried there, even though
Really?
they did eventually find out who he was.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
It was his father that killed him
yeah,
because they were from Ohio and they came through Nebraska heading somewhere.
running
And
away, and they just
yeah,
threw him out,
but
basically.
just what they called him, that just freaked me out as a kid for some reason. That just seemed off. And I
But
remember it was Christmas time too.
it was because the blanket he was wrapped in was blue, right?
Right. But I'm 5 at the time. So I'm
Okay,
just thinking like,
so you're
I'm thinking he
thinking he's
froze to
blue.
death. Yeah, I'm thinking he froze to death and they found him and he's all blue and shit. And so
Yep.
that's what I'm picturing.
Yes,
But
that's exactly what I pictured too.
yeah, that type of stuff used to scare me as a kid, but I can never say that I got depressed because of it though. It
True.
was just things that you knew to avoid. But nowadays you just don't know. Like from day to day, I mean, we got Trump as a president. You got your friends where their parents are getting snatched out of their houses and shit because they might not be legal. You don't know if your friends are gonna get snatched out of their house or whatever.
Right?
Like it's fucking depressing.
And sent
And
to a
that's what I
country
told
that
her.
they've never been in, ever.
Yes,
They've never
because they
been
were
in
born
that
here
country.
or been
And
here since they were 2.
yeah, and now they're here. You go. You go back, and what's with the taking the? See, I'm gonna get political. We're not even gonna go there.
Yeah, well, this is the serious show, so
Well, I'm just wondering why in the hell is Trump sending Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador?
Yeah.
because supposedly that's where the major prison is, but it's turning out that a lot of these people aren't even gang members.
No.
Yeah,
Like they're just regular
They're-
people that
they're-
are being
they're
put with
doing
these
criminal
savages.
activity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
it's ridiculous.
Treat
And
them
it's like, what would make you think it's okay? And then what cracks me up is people around here, because I live in farm country.
Mm-hmm.
They were all staunch Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Trump. The fuck is Trump doing for the farmers? What did he do?
Walking them over.
Almost right
Walking
out
over immediately.
Mhm.
almost
Mhm.
right out the gate. And then not only that, but the farmers out here hire a lot of migrant workers.
Mm-hmm.
Now what
Where
you
they
gonna
at?
do?
Mhm.
No.
Now what you gonna do? Y'all don't look at me.
See,
Y'all
it always makes me laugh a little bit that how they'll always proclaim to be the superior race, but how are you the superior race when if we all go out into a field butt naked, y'all gonna burn up and die before we do. Y'all need all kind of creams and potions and all that shit. We can go out there butt naked and just chill. I mean, it ain't gonna be comfortable, but
no, yeah, it
we'll
won't be
outlast you.
but we can do it. We can.
Mhm.
Mhm.
My dad used to say, I don't even know why they call us colored. They're the ones that turn different colors.
Oh, they sure do.
They're red when they're
Blue, gray, red.
yeah. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I never thought about that before.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
He
Oh
was
yeah.
a very
And
wise old man, very, very wise.
I remember him
Talking to him.
because he used to come to our family reunions and stuff too, and always get introduced as his age and shit.
Uh-huh,
Because I
uh-huh.
remember last time he was 97, I believe.
Yes. And
And
I
then,
remember you sat down and had a conversation with him.
Yep.
And not long after that was his birthday. And I put up a picture for his birthday, and you were like, that's your dad?
Uh-huh.
Man's like
Yep.
96. And I'm like, yes, he is.
Mhm.
He's like 40
Oh,
years
yeah.
older than my mom. Yeah. A
Wow.
whole grown ass person older than my mother. Yeah.
Mhm.
But they got along very well. They, he was happy, she was happy, and I miss
Oh,
him
that
something
matters.
too.
I bet.
And he had to go and pass away on Christmas Day. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't. Now, my grandma passed away December 23rd. So that was rough.
It's like, dude,
Mhm.
you couldn't have gave us one more day.
Right.
Now, had he been sick or did he just die?
He was 103,
So just died.
just
Mm.
old age. He got to a point where he was a little, feeble-minded,
Mhm.
and his daughter that he loved oh so much and was supposed to be taking care of him dumped him in Lancaster Manor. I know you've heard stories about Lancaster Manor.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, just dumped him in Lancaster Manor, and he passed away like a week later.
Oh,
But he
wow.
always said, when I stop moving, I'm gonna die.
Mhm.
He retired from 3 different professions. Like,
Damn.
Good God.
yes.
Well, I've noticed that when people are really into what their job is, like especially head coaches, if
Yeah.
well, because remember what was his name? Paterno, Joe
Mhm.
Paterno. He died
Mm.
well, he had cancer anyway, but he died like weeks after he got let go from that
Mhm.
scandal. Bear Bryant back in the day, he even said in the interview when they were like, "Well, what are you going to do now?" He said, "I don't know, probably go home and have a heart attack." 2 weeks later, he had a heart attack and died
Yeah.
because he just had nothing to do anymore. His passion was gone.
Do you think people know?
Oh yeah.
That's always been a thought of mine. Like, and what does it feel like? Like, I wonder all the time, and that's another thing that causes me depression. Is this going to be the day? I
Mhm.
feel horrible, or I forgot to say I love you to her when she walked out the door this morning. This is
Mhm.
going to be the day, and
Yeah.
it's silly, but I wonder if people can feel that, because a lot of people have been known to say something eerily close to that before they
I
pass
think
away.
you know when there's something going on inside you, even if you haven't addressed it, but you know when something's changed. Like, if all of a sudden you haven't been breathing the way you normally breathe and you've been
Yeah.
having hallucinations and weird thoughts keep crossing your mind, that would seem like foreshadowing to death. Like
Yeah.
something bad's going down. Like if this stuff has never happened and it's slowly things are starting to come on, then I think they give up because they start seeing like this shit is happening. I can't do anything about it, so I'm gonna die now. And then there's
I
other
guess that's
people
where
that,
I'm lucky, because all my shit just starts right there. It
yeah.
doesn't get slowly worse. It just,
Mhm.
boom, here we are. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"The fuck?"
Well, and then think about how many people don't go to the doctor, but they know something's wrong. But they don't go to the doctor because they don't want to hear what's wrong.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because that Screech from Saved by the Bell, his dumb ass never went to the doctor. He knew something was wrong. He knew
Yeah.
he had like cancer or something, but he didn't want to go because he didn't want to hear he was going to die. And then he waited too long and then died 2 weeks after he went into the hospital.
I think
So it's like,
I could empathize with that, though,
mhm.
honestly. I
To a
don't
degree,
really
I
want
could,
I don't
but I just don't
really
like to play with
want
shit like
somebody
that.
to tell me, well, you've got this long to live or whatever. I don't want to hear that. Like,
At the same time, though, when they say that, that's something that can almost drive you to say, "Well, I'll show you, you son of a bitch." Because
that's true.
remember, Valerie Harper was supposed to die in like
Mhm.
3 months, and she lived like 5 additional years.
Yep.
She was on Dancing with the Stars and shit because she had brain
Mm,
cancer,
that's
and
right.
they told her she wasn't gonna. It was summertime, and she wasn't supposed to make it to Christmas, and she made it to like 5 more Christmases.
5 more Christmases.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was all because of her attitude, though.
Yeah.
She made peace with it, and it was like, I'm just gonna do everything I can while I'm still alive, and she was having fun doing it. So the body responded.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that's kind of the takeaway from everything is, when the depression oftentimes comes from having too much time on your hands or thinking too much about things that really don't matter, mistakes that you made that you've already gotten past. Because that's
Somebody's
the stuff
already
that depressed
forgiven you
me.
for it, or you
Hmm.
forgive yourself.
Yep.
You forgive yourself, but you still go back to some of that stupid
Right.
stuff.
Of
And
what
I
could have
have
been.
that bad habit of doing that same thing. I
Mhm.
go over my motherhood with my oldest daughter. Like,
Yep.
where did I
Mhm.
fuck up? Where
Oh, I
did
do
I,
that too.
and
Even
it's
though they
like,
ain't done nothing wrong or anything, it's still just like there's something I could have done better, or a
yeah,
time I yelled
yeah,
at them when I shouldn't have.
yeah,
Just weird shit like that would come up, and that's when I realized, okay, something, them chemicals ain't bouncing
yeah,
around right up
yep,
there.
yep. You need to go back to the
Yeah.
doctor. You
Yep.
need to go, you need to go talk to your therapist, something like that.
And that's something else for everybody out there. Your brain's an organ. All right. So I mean, if you had heart issues and you had to take heart pills or something for your kidneys, that's not embarrassing. But for some reason, if your brain is messed up, you're broken,
Right.
or it's a reason to be ashamed. Whereas, I just mentioned there's 280 million people. And again, that's underreported by half, I guarantee.
Right.
Because I know people that I can talk to them. And if I were a psychiatrist, I could easily diagnose them with depression because you
Mm-hmm.
have every symptom, every sign, you're saying everything a depressed person would say. But at the same time, if you say you're depressed, no, it's just, I'm
No,
just
that's
going
not
through
it. I'm
something.
just I'm
Yeah.
just feeling blue today. Or,
Nobody wants that title,
yeah.
and that's where people screw up is it's not a title. It doesn't mean that's who you are. It just
Right.
means that's what you're going through right now. I mean, if you're diabetic, you're diabetic. You got to take that insulin or you're going to go dead.
Yeah. I
You ain't
have
got time to be
lupus.
embarrassed.
I have to, my lupus is systemic, so it can
Mhm.
attack any system in my body at any given time. I can accept that. And
Yep.
I know that, that's just what's going to happen. But that doesn't mean you give up.
Right.
It doesn't mean you just stop living. You know, at some point in time, it's going to affect my brain, I'm sure. Might actually
Mhm.
be affecting my brain now. And that's why I'm getting so much quicker with things. But
Yeah. There's times I wonder what affects my brain too. Cause like if I could not smoke as much as I do, or there's just certain habits that it's like if I change this, what would happen? And then at the same time, it's like if I change that, would I be in more pain all the damn time? Or
right,
would my mind get
right.
clouded?
Because
It's just so many things that I take it for that it's like when you're thinking about the what's the word I'm looking for? The inconvenience factor. You're
mhm,
not thinking about all the shit that it helps. So then you stop taking it and then you start getting a little antsy. You get that little bit of like,
yep.
I don't know if it's withdrawal or what, but you feel like, okay, I got to have this shit because something ain't right. But
I think it's definitely withdrawal,
yeah.
whether it's
Well, and
a
again, the
withdrawal.
weed now is so much stronger than when we grew up because the shit when
How
we
come
grew
there's
up that
no
you got from the
seeds in it?
streets was that
That's my one question. Why is there no more seeds in the weed bags? What's
because they grow it because they're actually cultivating the shit with real farmers. Like so
that?
they're getting real good grades of shit. But like when we like if you just got your stuff from the weed man, that might have had 8 to 10% THC. I was
Right.
looking through the catalog of the store I go to. There was one for 40.53% THC.
Damn.
I'm telling, and but I'm at that point now that would put me down. But like shit that's like at 25, 26, 27, I'm just kind of even keeled. And that kind of worries me a little bit because that's like 2.5 times more than what we used to smoke,
Man, I tried that
so
tincture one time, that liquid that you put under your
uh-huh.
chin.
Yep.
Woo! Lord have mercy. I really, really, I cannot wait until they make marijuana legal, because even though it passed on the ballot,
There's still some shit to go through.
they're still not letting it happen here. They're not.
Yeah. Oh, there's
And
gonna be a lot of red tape.
it's pissing me off because I'm like, we voted for it. We won. We got
Mhm.
it. And okay, so we got Trump as a president. Now we need the weed, please.
Yes. That's the one thing I will say about Arizona is as red, it's not as red as everybody thinks it is. There is a lot of red here, but there's a lot of blue here too. So it's like when I first got here, they passed the medical marijuana thing.
Mhm.
And I thought it was gonna be all hard and shit. I thought I had to fake all these injuries and shit. But it was a really easy process. And you know, you had to have a card to get the weed. And then
Yep.
like 5 years later, they did it recreational. So now anybody can go into a dispensary and buy some. It's just the recreational people pay more because you're paying state tax, city tax, weed tax, and some other tax. Whereas
Probably
if you're
wheel tax in
medical,
Nebraska. Good
what's
lord.
that?
I said probably wheel tax in Nebraska.
Probably. Yeah, shit, that shit is high on them cars. But if you have a medical card, you get almost a break. And you get point like the place I go to, you get points for every dollar you spend. And each point is worth $1. So if I go in there with 10 points, whatever my cost is, you can take $10 off of that shit. So I was like, they got frequent rewards, they got sodas, they got
Yeah, they do.
just
And all my
everything.
doctors, that's one of the things that they'll ask, when they're listing off all my medicines, are you still on this? You still on this? They're like, and are you still smoking the marijuana? And I'm like, yes, I am. Can you write me a prescription for it yet? And they're like, if I could, I would, but we're not allowed to. And I'm like, well, what the hell? What we won,
Right.
but none of
Exactly.
them know what's going on either. But all of my doctors know that I smoke, and
Mhm.
they all know that it helps, and they're on the side of voting for. You know what I mean? They're all
Yeah.
for medical marijuana.
Well, and while we're mentioning that too, if out there you do smoke, it is very important that you do tell your doctors, because that shit can interfere with some
Yes.
of your brain meds, and something else can interfere with. And I didn't know about this until I read it right before surgery. But when they put you down for surgery, the what is it called, anesthesiologist or
Anesthesia.
whatever,
Yep.
that weed consumption can affect how much they have to put into you or how little, because you could actually go into too deep a sleep.
Yep.
If you go in
And they
there
ask me
messed
every
up.
time. They ask me every time, and did you, and it's funny because you can tell the doctors that don't know about weed and the ones that do, because they
They
say,
try to give you them bullshit stats.
did you take a one today? Take one what? Like, do you mean, did I smoke today? No, I didn't smoke. I didn't
Did you take a
vape.
marijuana pill?
Right. Do you make those? Because I need one.
They do. They sell them
Well,
at the dispensary.
they don't do it here. I could
I'll
probably
have to
get
send you a
Delta
list of everything
9.
they sell.
We've got the good old Delta 9 stuff here.
Oh
But,
yeah. That
I
shit that
still
kind of
got,
buzzes you a little bit.
I still got
Mm.
connections. I know where to get the real shit.
That's like smoking when you get all that resin put together that you saved up.
Right?
It gives you a headache, but you still get a little bit high, but
But it's
not
like,
worth it.
it's legal in Missouri now, and it's legal in Colorado. So, I mean, come on, we're 2.5 hours from Missouri.
And you know what? Come to think of it, western Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, not Idaho, and I think Montana has medical. I think Idaho is the only state in the nation that has absolutely zero, like even medicated. Like they have nothing that you can buy with THC in it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You can only
the whole West is.
But they grow all kinds of potatoes and make vodka.
Vodka.
Like, what should be illegal is alcohol. I've never heard of anybody dying.
I could die tonight of alcohol poisoning. Like in the next 2 hours, I could die of alcohol poisoning if I get started right now.
Yep.
If I smoke enough weed to kill me, I would have fallen asleep 3 days before that happens.
And then wake up and eat, come down, do it, and start it all over. It's
and I'm gonna wake up and eat everything in the damn house. But there's some people though, they will just still make you a demon for smoking that shit because they've been raised like that's dope. Yeah, dope.
It's like, dude, you don't know the half of it. Like, dope is that shit that they make artificially out of all those chemicals, and people put that. What would make you put that in your body? Like, it is made with stuff that you can't even eat. Why in the world?
Meth?
Yes.
I mean, using shampoo and motor oil and all kind of shit that
And
you ain't got no business putting in your body.
yeah, it's like that. What? Why? I don't understand, but
Now, I will only put weed, and if I'm under the care of a shaman, I'll do like the shrooms and all that kind of shit because I really want to try that. Like, because a lot of people say that
so do
a
I.
lot of their what am I trying to say? Like traumas and shit. Like it comes to the surface and you're able to deal with them, and then you're cured. But
It's like a Native American sweat lodge.
yeah.
I would love to try that kind of thing, but
Yeah, me too. Matter of fact, I know some people in Austin, Texas, Ta and Cole. We should look them up again because that's their whole existence is guiding people through guided shrooms and psychedelics and stuff.
well,
Yes, I'm gonna look them up and we'll
when planes stop falling out of the air, I will.
Yes. Or we need to rent an RV or some shit like that.
Right, but I am not coming right now because what?
No. Yeah, this is crazy right now. But shit, we have gone an hour and 6 minutes, which I didn't even expect us to do that. So obviously it was a good conversation. So hopefully
and I hope you guys got enough out of the depression thing to understand that it's serious.
Right.
And
right. Yeah, I think we wove in and out just perfectly as far as
you need help. You need help. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not, it's not going to get you blacklisted from anything. If you need help, you need help.
And I guarantee there's somebody else that you think is cool that needs help just as bad as you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't put this up here. Here's the Suicide Crisis Lifeline. It's 988, just as easy as that. Even if if it's not an overwhelming urge, if you feel some kind of way, just call them and just chat with somebody. Because sometimes, like even us just talking bullshit,
5 minutes, just
you get wrapped up in a conversation. You realize that things aren't really that bad. No permanent solutions for temporary problems. Correct. That never works. Black people specifically, we have a whole different way of thinking and acting. We're a different community, so we have a different way of communicating. So if you want somebody black to talk to another black person, if you are a person of color, and it's also for indigenous and LGBTQ. So basically, you're going to find somebody like you. The black line is 800-604-5841. 800-604-5841. That's for black folks, LGBTQ, indigenous people, people in color in general. We have different problems than white people do. I mean, it's just call it racist if you want, but it's just damn true. We have different generational trauma than a lot of other people do. So it is what it is. So, ladies, you think we had a good show tonight? Want to do it again next week?
I think so.
All right.
I think we should.
I think we should too. I was going to put together one of those, especially since it was a depression episode. I was going to put together one of those things with faces videos, and then I forgot. Wait, let me see if I have any. Nah. Okay, we'll do that next week. But in the meantime, do we have Rapping Granny?
Of course you do.
Oh, yeah, we do. Okay. So we'll give you about 10 seconds of Rapping Granny for all of you old heads that have been following us for the past 3 years. You know exactly what it is. It should make you smile. And come join us again live Wednesday at 7 p.m. We don't have a subject yet, but whatever it is, it'll be fun. Maybe we'll have game night. Maybe we'll talk about some nonsense, but it'll be fun. Whatever it is, it's going to take you out of whatever bad mood you might be in. And then again, every Friday morning at 9 Eastern, it's not live, but that's when you can access the show. That's where we talk about, a little bit more serious things like depression and, other things in life that need to be addressed.
But we still
I'm sorry.
I said we still laughed a lot this show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll find a way to laugh. I'll laugh at funerals, man. I'm just that dude. But anyway, we will see you guys 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Arizona time. I keep fucking that up. So 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Arizona time next Wednesday live. Make sure you join us. If you're watching right now, please hit the like button. Please share it with somebody that you like. And please subscribe. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. I think it's on the right-hand side. Yeah, it's at the right bottom down there by that little popcorn and movie clacker thing. There should be a little subscribe button. Just click it. Let me know you clicked it. Make sure you comment and just tell one more person. So for the Shell Train and for Double J, this is the Cold Train saying we will see you next Wednesday.
Hey, Utah District 12, listen up right here. There's a new name on the ballot for the Senate this year. My name is Linda.